Zara stood in the middle of the huge shipyard, watching sparks fly from welding tools. The Viridian Nexus was the biggest shipbuilding place in this part of the galaxy. Her people, the Cathara, were famous for making the best ships anywhere. Every line was perfect. Every part fit exactly where it should. No mistakes, no flaws, but Zara felt something was missing. She walked past rows of silver ships that looked like works of art. Each one was beautiful and worked perfectly. The engines never broke down. The weapons always hit their targets. The shields never failed. Other species came from far away just to buy Cathara ships. Yet Zara kept thinking about the human ships she had seen. Human ships were ugly. They had patches welded on top of patches. The hull paint was often scratched or burned. Wires hung loose in places. Parts that did not match were stuck together with whatever the humans could find. Her people laughed at human ships and called them junk. But those ugly human ships did things that should have been impossible. Last month, Zara had read a report about a human cargo ship called the Betty Sue. It was old and beat up. The engine was supposed to die years ago, but when space pirates attacked a convoy, that old ship fought off 3 enemy vessels and saved everyone. The human captain had rewired the weapons, used cargo containers as shields, and somehow made the dying engine give more power than it was built to give. A Cathara ship would never do that. If a Cathara ship was damaged, it would shut down to prevent more damage. It would wait for proper repairs. It would follow safety rules. It would not risk breaking itself to save others. Zara Velthani. She turned around. Elder Corvin was walking toward her. He was old and respected. His silver skin showed the marks of age, and his large eyes held the wisdom of someone who had built ships for 300 years. Yes, Elder? I hear you have been asking strange questions again. Zara tried not to show her worry. I am only trying to learn, Elder. You asked Engineer Thalen why we do not put manual controls in our ships. You asked Architect Myleth why we do not make our hulls modular. You asked Pilot Xeris why we cannot override our safety systems. These are valid questions for learning. Elder Corvin stepped closer. These are human questions, young architect. Why do you waste time thinking about inferior methods? Zara looked at the perfect ships around them. What if they are not inferior? What if they are just different? Different? Elder Corvin's voice became sharp. Our ships are the finest in the galaxy. They work for centuries without problems. They are reliable. They are safe. They are perfect. But what happens when perfect is not enough? The Elder stared at her for a long moment. Perfect is always enough. That is what makes it perfect. After Elder Corvin left, Zara walked to her workstation. On her desk was a small model of a human fighter ship. It was a gift from Jake Morrison, the only human engineer working at the shipyard. Most Cathara thought it was strange to have humans working here, but Jake was very smart and worked hard. Zara picked up the model and looked at it closely. The human ship was small and fast. It had weapons that could move and point in different directions. The armor was thick in some places and thin in others. Everything about it seemed wrong compared to Cathara design. But she had seen the battle records. Human ships survived fights they should have lost. They completed missions when everything went wrong. They found ways to keep going when any sensible ship would have stopped. She heard footsteps and quickly put the model in her drawer. Jake Morrison walked over with a cup of coffee in his hand. He was tall for a human with brown hair and friendly eyes. Working late again? Jake asked. Always. The new destroyer design needs to be perfect before tomorrow's review. Jake looked at her computer screen. The ship design was beautiful. Every angle was calculated. Every system was placed for maximum efficiency. It would be fast, strong, and deadly. It looks amazing, Jake said. But can I ask you something? Of course. What happens if the main computer gets damaged in battle? Zara thought about it. The backup computer takes over. And if that one gets damaged too, the third backup activates. And if all 3 computers are destroyed? Zara stared at him. That would never happen. The computers are too well protected, Jake smiled. That's what we used to think too. Then we learned that in real fights anything can break. So we started putting manual controls in our ships, just in case. Manual controls are unreliable. Organic beings make mistakes. Sure we do, but we also make miracles. That night Zara could not sleep. She kept thinking about Jake's words. She thought about the human ships that did impossible things. She thought about the Betty Sue and how it saved everyone by breaking its own rules. She got up and went to her computer. She started looking at human ship designs. At first, they looked random and chaotic. But as she studied them more, she began to see patterns. The humans did not just throw parts together. They built ships that could be changed. They made systems that could work in many different ways. They planned for things to go wrong. Kythera ships were like beautiful statues. Perfect, but unable to change. Human ships were like living things. Ugly sometimes, but able to grow and adapt. For the first time in her life, Zara began to wonder if her people were missing something important. Maybe perfect was not always better. Maybe sometimes you needed a ship that could become more than what it was built to be. She opened a new design file on her computer and started drawing. She did not know exactly what she was making, but she knew it would be different. It would combine the best of both worlds. She would build a ship that was both perfect and imperfect, beautiful and practical, reliable and adaptable, even if it meant going against everything her people believed. 3 weeks passed since Zara started her secret project. Every night after her regular work was done, she would go to the old storage section of the shipyard. It was quiet there and nobody went there anymore. She had moved some computers and tools there to work on her ideas, but she needed help. Building a ship alone was impossible, even for someone as smart as her. She found Jake Morrison in the cafeteria eating lunch. He was sitting by himself reading something on his tablet. Most Kythera workers did not talk to the humans much. They were polite but distant. "Jake, can I sit with you?" He looked up and smiled. "Sure, Zara. How's the destroyer design going?" "It is finished. The elders approved it yesterday." She sat down and looked around to make sure nobody was listening. "I want to ask you something." "Something private?" Jake put down his tablet. "What's up?" "If you could build any ship you wanted with unlimited resources, what would you build?" Jake thought for a moment. "That's a big question. I guess I would build something that could handle anything. A ship that could fight, explore, rescue people, carry cargo, whatever was needed. Something tough that could take a beating and keep going. Even if it was not perfect? Perfect is overrated. I'd rather have something that works when everything goes wrong." Zara made her decision. "I am working on something. Something different. But I cannot do it alone." "What kind of something?" She leaned closer and spoke quietly. "A ship that combines Kythera technology with human ideas. A ship that is both precise and adaptable." Jake's eyes went wide. "Are you serious? The elders would never approve that." "I know. That is why it must be secret. Zara, you could get in huge trouble for this. They could kick you out of the shipyard. I know the risks, but I think this could be important. I think our species could learn from each other." Jake was quiet for a long time. Then he grinned. "When do we start?" That evening, Zara showed Jake her secret workshop. She had already built a small frame for the ship. It was about the size of a fighter, but different from anything either species had built before. "The hull will use our quantum matrix technology," Zara explained, "but with modular sections that can be removed and replaced quickly." Jake walked around the frame, touching different parts. "Like armor plates that can be swapped out in the field?" "Exactly. And look at this." She showed him plans on her computer. "The engine system has 3 different modes. One for maximum efficiency, one for maximum speed, and one for maximum power. And humans could switch between them manually if the computer system failed." "Yes, but that is not all. The weapons can be configured in dozens of different ways. The sensors can be adjusted for different missions. Even the internal layout can be changed," Jake whistled. "This is incredible. But building this will take more than just the 2 of us." "I know. Do you think any other humans would help?" "Maybe. Lisa Carter might be interested. She's one of our test pilots. She always complains that our ships are too rigid, and Alex Bennett might help too. He's good with systems integration." The next day, Jake talked to Lisa and Alex. At first they thought he was joking, but when he showed them Zara's designs, they became very interested. Lisa was a small woman with short red hair and quick hands. She had flown almost every type of human ship, and some alien ones too. "I've always wanted to fly something that could really respond to pilot input," she said. "Most ships fight against you. This one looks like it would work with you." Alex was older and more careful. He had gray hair and worried eyes. "This could cause a diplomatic incident. If the Kythera find out we're helping one of their people break rules." "They don't have to find out," Jake said. "We work night shifts. We use old materials that were going to be thrown away. We keep it small and quiet. And if we get caught, Zara spoke up. If we get caught, I will take all the blame. I will say I forced you to help me. Alex shook his head. That's not how it works. We're all adults here. If we do this, we do it together and we all take responsibility. They shook hands on it. For the next month, the four of them worked every night. Zara designed systems that had never been tried before. Jake figured out how to make Cathara technology work with human interfaces. Lisa planned control systems that would let a pilot really fly the ship instead of just giving it suggestions. Alex connected everything together so it would all work as one unit. The work was hard. Cathara technology was very complex and human methods were very different. Sometimes they had to try dozens of different approaches before finding one that worked. Why do you humans always want backup plans for your backup plans? Zara asked one night when Jake was installing the 5th manual override system. Because stuff breaks, Jake said simply. And when it breaks at the worst possible time, you want options. But if you build it correctly, it should not break. Should is a dangerous word in space. Things that should work sometimes don't. People who should be allies sometimes aren't. Plans that should succeed sometimes fail, so we plan for all of it. Zara was learning to think differently. Instead of asking, what is the perfect solution, she learned to ask, what happens if this doesn't work? Instead of building one perfect system, she built several good systems that could help each other. The ship was starting to look like something real. The hull was sleek like a Cathara ship but had panels that could be opened and parts that could be moved. The cockpit had both advanced Cathara displays and simple human controls. The engine room had automated systems alongside manual backups, but their secret was getting harder to keep. Commander Alex Bennett noticed that supplies were disappearing from storage. Some Cathara workers asked why the humans were working so many night shifts. Elder Corvin started asking Zara strange questions about her current projects. One night, as they were installing the weapon systems, alarms started ringing throughout the shipyard. Emergency alert, came the announcement. All ships prepare for immediate deployment. Unknown hostiles attacking Research Station Gamma 7. All available vessels respond immediately. The four friends looked at each other. Through the windows, they could see Cathara ships powering up and leaving the shipyard. But they were moving slowly and carefully, following all safety procedures. Gamma 7 is 3 days away at normal speed, Lisa said. By the time they get there, the people at the station will be dead, Alex finished. Zara looked at their half-finished ship. It was not complete, but the basic systems were working. The engine could run. The weapons were functional. The life support was operational. How fast could this ship get there? She asked. Jake checked the calculations. If we pushed the engine to maximum power, maybe 18 hours. But it would be dangerous. The ship isn't fully tested. And it would mean stealing an unfinished prototype to fly an unauthorized rescue mission, Alex added. Lisa was already climbing into the pilot's seat. So what are we waiting for? Zara realized this was the moment that would change everything. They could stay safe and follow rules, or they could take a risk to save lives. She thought about the human ship called Betty Sue, about how it did the impossible because its crew was willing to try. Let's go save some people, she said. Getting the ship out of the storage bay was the first problem. The main launch doors were controlled by the shipyard's central computer, and using them would alert security immediately. There's a maintenance airlock on level 7, Alex said, studying building plans on his tablet. It's big enough for our ship, but barely. How do we get there without being seen? Jake asked. Lisa was running pre-flight checks on systems that had never been tested together before. The old cargo lift goes right past level 7. If we can get the ship onto the lift. The cargo lift has been broken for months, Zara said. Then we fix it, Jake replied. How hard can it be? It turned out to be very hard. The cargo lift's control system was ancient and had been damaged by a power surge. While Lisa and Zara worked on getting the ship's engine started, Jake and Alex crawled through maintenance tunnels to repair the lift. I can't believe we're doing this, Alex muttered as he reconnected damaged wires. You want to back out? Jake asked. No, but I want it on record that this is crazy. Noted. In the storage bay, Zara was having her own problems. The ship's engine was making strange noises. The quantum matrix was not stabilizing properly. Several warning lights were flashing red. This is what happens when you build something in a hurry, she said to herself. Lisa looked over from the pilot's seat. Hey, Zara. In human engineering, we have a saying, If it's stupid but it works, it's not stupid. And if it doesn't work, then we'll figure something else out. The engine finally started with a deep humming sound. It was not as smooth as a proper Kithara engine, but it was working. Cargo lift is operational. Jake's voice came through their communicators. But we need to move fast. I can only keep it running for about 10 minutes before someone notices. They managed to get the ship onto the lift without being detected. As they rose through the levels of the shipyard, Zara watched her home pass by through the small windows. She wondered if she would ever see it again. Level 7, Alex announced. The maintenance airlock was designed for small repair pods, not full-size ships. There was maybe a meter of clearance on each side. This is going to be tight, Lisa said, taking manual control of the ship's movement. Can you do it? Zara asked. Ask me in 5 minutes. Lisa's hands moved over the controls like she was playing a musical instrument. The ship moved forward inch by inch. Sparks flew as the hull scraped against the airlock walls, but they made it through. Then they were in space. Alarms immediately started ringing behind them as the shipyard detected an unauthorized launch. Security ships began scrambling to intercept them. Time to see what this baby can do, Lisa said, and pushed the engine to full power. The ship shot forward like it had been fired from a cannon. The acceleration pushed them back into their seats. Warning lights flashed as systems struggled to keep up with the sudden demands. Engine temperature is rising, Jake called out from the engineering station. Hull stress is at 90%, Alex added. And we have 3 security ships following us, Lisa said, checking her sensors. Zara watched the displays with fascination. A normal Kithara ship would have automatically reduced speed to protect its systems, but their ship kept going, adapting to the stress, finding ways to manage the heat and pressure. The security ships are trying to communicate, Alex said. Tell them we'll explain later, Zara replied. The first real test came an hour later when they encountered a spatial anomaly. It was a region of twisted space that could tear a ship apart. The normal route around it would add 6 hours to their journey. The people at the research station don't have 6 hours, Lisa said. Zara looked at the sensor readings. The anomaly was dangerous but not impossible. A flexible ship might be able to navigate through it. We have manual overrides, she said slowly. We can adjust our systems in real time. You want to fly through that thing? Alex asked, staring at the swirling energy on the screen. I want to try something no Kithara ship has ever done. They entered the anomaly carefully. The twisted space pulled at their hull in different directions. Normal ship systems would have failed immediately, but their modular design allowed them to adapt. Rerouting power from non-essential systems, Jake announced. Adjusting hull configuration to distribute stress, Zara added. Flying by instinct because the computers can't calculate this stuff, Lisa said with a grin. It was terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. The ship bent and flexed like a living thing. Systems failed and were quickly replaced by backups. The manual controls let Lisa fly the ship in ways that should have been impossible. When they emerged from the anomaly, they had saved 4 hours and proven that their hybrid design could do things no conventional ship could manage. Did we really just do that? Alex asked, staring at the sensor readings that showed they had survived intact. We did, Zara said, and she felt a strange new emotion. Pride. But different from the pride she felt in perfect Kithara engineering. This was the pride of doing something difficult and dangerous and making it work through skill and determination. The rest of the journey passed quickly. They pushed the ship harder than any Kithara engineer would approve of, and it responded by giving them more power and speed than it was designed for. As they approached the research station, they could see the battle in progress. 3 unknown ships were attacking the station with weapons that seemed to adapt to whatever defenses were used against them. The station's shields were failing. Those aren't any ships I recognize, Lisa said, studying the attackers. They're using some kind of adaptive technology, Jake observed. Every time the station fires at them, they adjust their defenses. How do you fight something that learns from your attacks? Alex asked. Zara thought about it. A Kithara ship would analyze the enemy, develop the perfect strategy, and then execute it flawlessly. But if the enemy could adapt to perfect strategies, you don't use perfect strategies, she said suddenly. You use chaotic ones. You do things that don't make sense. You be unpredictable. That sounds very human, Jake said with a smile. Yes, Zara agreed. It does. As they approached the battle, Zara realized they were about to test more than just their ship's design. They were about to test whether human and Cathera approaches could work together in real combat. The research station was sending desperate messages for help. The unknown attackers were preparing for a final assault. Time was running out. "All right, everyone," Lisa said, her hands steady on the controls. "Let's go save some people and see if our crazy idea really works." The ship turned toward the battle, its hybrid systems humming with power, ready to prove that sometimes the impossible was just another word for something nobody had tried yet. The first attack came from the largest enemy ship. A beam of purple energy lanced toward them, and Lisa threw their ship into a wild spinning dive that no computer could have calculated. "Warning, maneuver exceeds safety parameters," the ship's computer announced calmly. "Override safety protocols," Zara commanded. "Manual control authorized." The beam missed them by meters. Lisa whooped with excitement. "This thing actually does what I tell it to." The three enemy ships turned toward them, abandoning their attack on the research station. They were sleek and black, with surfaces that seemed to shift and change like liquid metal. "I'm reading massive energy signatures," Jake called out from his engineering station. "These things are powerful. They're also scanning us," Alex added, "trying to analyze our weapons and defenses." "Then let's not give them time to figure us out," Zara said. She had been studying the enemy ships during their approach. Traditional tactics said to maintain distance and use long-range weapons. But traditional tactics were exactly what these adaptive ships would expect. "Lisa, take us in close, right between the two smaller ships." "That's suicide," Alex protested. "No, that's unpredictable," Zara corrected. Lisa grinned and pushed the ship forward. The enemy vessels fired at them, but their shots were calculated for a ship that would behave logically. When Lisa suddenly rolled upside down and accelerated straight toward them, their targeting systems couldn't adjust fast enough. "Jake, can you reconfigure our weapons to fire in random patterns?" "Random patterns? That's wasteful and inefficient." "Exactly. Do it." Jake's hands flew over his controls. Instead of precise, focused beams, their weapons began firing in scattered bursts. Some shots missed completely, but others hit the enemy ships in places their adaptive shields weren't protecting. "It's working," Alex shouted. "Their shields are having trouble adapting to random targeting." The enemy ships tried to respond, but they were designed to counter logical strategies. When faced with apparent chaos, they struggled to find patterns to defend against. Lisa flew their ship like she was dancing with death. She would accelerate toward one enemy, then suddenly brake and spin around to attack another. She used debris from damaged station equipment as cover, weaving between chunks of metal that no sane pilot would get near. "The station is trying to contact us," Alex announced. "Put them through," Zara said while reconfiguring their shield harmonics to change every few seconds. Unknown vessel. "This is Research Station Gamma 7. Thank you for coming to help us. But these enemy ships are too dangerous. You should retreat and call for backup. This is Zara Velthani aboard the prototype vessel Synthesis. We're not retreating. Can you tell us anything about these attackers?" There was surprise in the station commander's voice. "Zara Velthani? The Cathera architect? What are you doing in an unauthorized ship?" "Long story. What can you tell us about the enemy?" "They appeared 3 hours ago. Their technology adapts to whatever we use against them. We've tried everything. Different weapon frequencies, shield configurations, tactical patterns. They learn from it all and counter it." Zara looked at her three human friends. Jake was frantically rerouting power through systems that had never been connected before. Alex was coordinating repairs on hull damage while simultaneously managing communications. Lisa was flying the ship through maneuvers that would have killed anyone else. "They adapt to logical patterns," Zara said, "but humans are not always logical." She opened a channel to the research station. "Station Gamma 7, I need you to do exactly what I tell you. Even if it sounds crazy, we're listening. When I give the signal, I want you to shut down all your weapons and shields for exactly 10 seconds. That will leave us completely defenseless. Trust me." The battle continued around them. Their ship was taking damage, but the modular design allowed them to seal off damaged sections and reroute systems around destroyed components. A Cathera ship would have withdrawn for repairs by now. A human ship would have probably exploded already. But their hybrid vessel kept fighting, adapting to damage like a living creature. "The largest enemy ship is powering up some kind of main weapon," Jake warned. "Energy readings are off the charts. Zara watched the enemy formation. They had learned from the battle and were positioning themselves to surround and destroy the unpredictable intruder. Now, she called to the station. Drop all defenses for 10 seconds. The research station's shields and weapons went dark. The enemy ships immediately turned toward this apparently helpless target, powering up for a killing blow. Lisa, full speed toward the station. Jake, charge up everything we have. Alex, prepare to transfer all shield power to weapons. Zara, we'll never reach them in time, Lisa said, but she was already accelerating. We don't need to reach them. We need to reach the gravity well. The research station was orbiting a small moon. As their ship dove toward the station, they entered the moon's gravity field. Zara waited until the exact right moment. Now, full reverse thrust and redirect all power to weapons. Lisa threw the ship into a gravity-assisted slingshot maneuver around the moon. The sudden change in direction brought them up behind the enemy ships, just as they were focused on attacking the defenseless station. At point-blank range, with all their power channeled into weapons, they fired everything they had at the largest enemy ship. The concentrated attack overwhelmed its adaptive defenses and tore through its hull. The explosion lit up space like a small star. The two remaining enemy ships spun around in confusion. Their adaptive AI had been programmed to counter logical tactics, but gravity-assisted surprise attacks were apparently not in their programming. Station shields back up, Zara called. The research station's defenses reactivated just as the remaining enemy ships opened fire. But now they were caught between the station's weapons and the unpredictable prototype ship. The battle that followed was unlike anything in military records. Lisa flew their ship through patterns that changed every few seconds. Jake reconfigured their weapons to fire different types of energy in random sequences. Alex coordinated with the station to create overlapping fields of fire that no computer could predict. Zara found herself thinking like a human for the first time in her life. Instead of calculating the perfect solution, she improvised. Instead of following established tactics, she made up new ones. Instead of seeking flawless execution, she embraced controlled chaos. When the last enemy ship exploded, the four friends sat in stunned silence for a moment. Did we really just do that? Alex asked. We destroyed 3 ships that should have been impossible to beat, Jake said, checking damage reports. Using tactics that no military academy would ever teach, Lisa added. Zara looked at the displays showing their battered but victorious ship. They had taken damage that would have crippled any normal vessel, but they were still flying. They had fought enemies that could adapt to any strategy, and won by refusing to use strategy at all. We proved something important today, she said. We proved that 2 different ways of thinking can be stronger together than either one alone. The research station was broadcasting thanks and praise. Word of their victory was already spreading through subspace communications. Soon everyone would know that a stolen prototype with a mixed crew had done the impossible. Zara realized that their real test was just beginning. Saving the research station was only the first challenge. Now they would have to face the consequences of what they had done. But for the first time in her life, she was not afraid of imperfection. She had learned that sometimes the best solutions came from combining order with chaos, precision with intuition, and careful planning with desperate improvisation. The ship turned toward home, carrying 4 friends who had changed everything by daring to believe that different could be better than perfect. The return journey to the Viridian Nexus took 2 days. Word of their victory had traveled faster than their damaged ship, and by the time they arrived, everything had changed. A fleet of Cathera security vessels was waiting for them. So were human diplomatic ships and news crews from a dozen species. The entire galaxy seemed to be watching. "This is Admiral Thrinix of the Cathera Defense Fleet," came the stern voice over their communications. "Prototype vessel, you will submit to escort and proceed directly to Detention Bay 7. Lisa looked at the others. Anyone want to make another run for it? No, Zara said quietly. We knew this day would come. It's time to face the consequences. They allowed themselves to be escorted to the shipyard. As they passed through the massive docking bay, Zara could see crowds of workers watching. Kithera and humans stood together, pointing and whispering about the scarred ship that had done the impossible. The detention bay was normally used for quarantining damaged vessels. But today it held the most important ship in the galaxy. As they powered down their systems, security teams surrounded them. But these were not arrest teams. They were mixed groups of Kithera officials and human diplomats. "Zara Velthani," said Elder Corvan as she stepped off the ship. "You have caused quite a disturbance. I have proven quite a point, she replied. Behind the elder stood Admiral Patricia Hayes of the Human Space Navy and Captain Ben Carter of the research station they had saved. Both were smiling. The crew of Research Station Gamma 7 has submitted a detailed report, Admiral Hayes said. According to their account, your ship accomplished something no existing vessel could have managed. The station's scientists have also provided technical data about the enemy ships, Captain Carter added. Those adaptive vessels have been attacking frontier colonies for months. 3 Cathara fleets have failed to stop them. Elder Corvan's expression was unreadable. That does not excuse unauthorized construction of experimental vessels, theft of shipyard resources, or endangering the lives of untrained personnel. Untrained? Jake stepped forward. With respect, Elder, we may not have formal Cathara certification, but we know how to build things that work. And we know how to fight, Lisa added. Something your perfect ships apparently don't. The humans saved lives, Alex said simply. Sometimes that matters more than following rules. A new voice joined the conversation. Perhaps we should focus on results rather than procedures. Everyone turned to see Elder Myleth, the most senior architect in the shipyard. She was ancient even by Cathara standards, and her word carried enormous weight. You built this ship in secret, she said to Zara. Why? Because I knew it would not be approved through normal channels. And why did you think it needed to be built? Zara thought carefully before answering. Because perfection is not always perfect. Because sometimes you need a ship that can become more than it was designed to be. Elder Myleth walked slowly around their damaged vessel. She examined the scorch marks on the hull, the improvised repairs, the patches where human and Cathara technology had been combined. This ship should not work, she said finally. The design principles contradict each other. The systems are incompatible. The construction methods are chaotic. But it does work, Zara said. It works better than either of our species could build alone. Show me. For the next week, their ship underwent the most thorough testing in galactic history. Teams of engineers from both species examined every component. Test pilots flew it through maneuvers that would destroy normal vessels. Scientists studied how the hybrid systems adapted to damage and stress. The results surprised everyone. The adaptive capability is remarkable, reported Dr. Susan Walsh, the lead human engineer. When components fail, the ship automatically finds new ways to route power and maintain function. The modular design allows for real-time reconfiguration, added architect Zenth, a Cathara systems specialist. This could revolutionize how we approach ship construction. But the most important test came when they faced a simulated version of the adaptive enemy ships. Using traditional Cathara tactics, the simulation ended in defeat every time. Using human-style chaos tactics, they won consistently. The key is unpredictability, Zara explained to the review board. Our ship can change its behavior faster than any adaptive system can compensate. Elder Myleth studied the test results for a long time. You have proven that collaboration can produce superior results. But you have also broken numerous regulations and endangered lives. The lives we endangered were our own, Jake pointed out. The lives we saved were others. And the regulations we broke were preventing progress, Lisa added. Admiral Hayes leaned forward. The question now is what we do next. These adaptive enemy ships are still out there. Traditional fleets can't stop them. But this hybrid approach might. The debate that followed lasted for days. Some Cathara officials wanted to punish the unauthorized project. Some human leaders wanted to claim credit for the breakthrough. Politicians from both species tried to use the situation for their own advantage. But in the end, the facts spoke for themselves. The hybrid ship had succeeded where traditional vessels had failed. The crew had saved lives and proven that cooperation could produce results neither species could achieve alone. I propose a new initiative, Elder Myleth announced at the final hearing. A joint human Cathara shipbuilding program. We will combine our precision with their adaptability, our reliability with their innovation. Who would lead such a program? Asked Admiral Hayes. Elder Myleth looked at Zara. I believe we have already found our chief architect. 6 months later, Zara stood in the new joint shipyard facility. Around her, human and Cathara engineers worked side by side, building vessels that neither species had imagined possible. Jake Morrison had become her deputy, responsible for integrating human systems with Cathara technology. Lisa Carter commanded the test pilot squadron, training mixed crews to fly ships that responded to both logic and intuition. Alex Bennett managed the complex diplomatic and logistical challenges of the partnership. The first production run of hybrid vessels was nearly complete. Each ship was unique, designed for specific missions but capable of adapting to unexpected challenges. They were not perfect by traditional Cathara standards, but they were something better than perfect. They were ready for anything. The patrol fleet reports another adaptive enemy contact in the Vega sector, Jake announced. Reviewing the latest intelligence reports. Send the Aurora squadron, Zara replied, and tell them to be creative. She watched through the observation windows as 5 hybrid ships launched from the shipyard. Their hulls were sleek but functional, their systems sophisticated but flexible. Each one carried a mixed crew trained to think beyond traditional boundaries. The ships disappeared into hyperspace, ready to face whatever impossible challenge awaited them. Zara thought about the journey that had brought her here. She had started as a perfect Cathara architect, designing flawless ships for predictable missions. Now she was something new, a bridge between two species, building vessels that could adapt and grow and exceed their original design. She had learned that perfection was not about eliminating flaws. True perfection was about building something that could handle imperfection and turn it into strength. As she returned to her work, designing the next generation of hybrid vessels, Zara smiled. The galaxy was a dangerous and unpredictable place, full of challenges that no single species could face alone. But together, with ships that combined the best of both worlds, they were ready for anything the universe could throw at them. The age of adaptive exploration had begun, and it would be magnificent.